Hello and welcome to the Clyde FC podcast, proudly sponsored by Tony Flynn Mortgages. Today I am delighted to be joined by Clyde chairman Gordon Thomson to look back on what has been a tough season, to say the least, but also to give the fans and obviously myself within that an overview as to the work that's ongoing behind the scenes off the field, with a view to budget, Crown Point, and anything else that may come up in conversation. First of all, Gordon, thank you very much for taking time out. I appreciate you're still in the office at the moment. And for our video listeners, I can confirm Gordon isn't currently taking taxi orders. But thank you very much. How are you?
Not bad. Tough season, absolutely. But personally, doing okay. But you don't get any respite on a Saturday. It's been a hard job being a Clyde supporter this season.
It certainly has been. So if we just kind of then look to that very specific point, then Gordon, how would you sum up this season to date? And try and keep it clean.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely disappointing, is what I can say. When I look back over where we were in the summer, I'm thinking positively. We'd put together a good budget, or a competitive budget, and through a variety of reasons it just hasn't come to pass. And I think I would still stand by the fact that I don't think the results have always been reflective of the performances given by the players, but in the end of it, we're in a results business. The league table doesn't lie, and it's been immensely disappointing of where we're at this moment in time.
The challenges have been many. There is always challenges when it comes to Clyde Football Club. It's pretty much our middle name at this stage. You mentioned the budget, and that's obviously a driving force behind football clubs at all levels. Doesn't matter if you're in the English Premiership or Scottish League One. Generally, the team with the most money does best. You said that obviously we put a competitive budget in place for the management team. Obviously, there has been changes since the start of the season. Going forward, obviously it's been discussed that the budget's going to be significantly down. Can you give the fans a bit of an overview, just kind of the work ongoing to try and obviously remediate that and remedy that from the boardroom level, first of all?
Well, certainly as a club, we have tried to be as transparent as we can be to make sure that the owners understand the situation that we're in as a club. At Clyde, we don't have a single benefactor that is going to fund and bankroll the club over a season or beyond. We work together as a group, and that is directors who are supporters as well, and the supporters. We will try as best as we can to spend what we can without putting the club at risk, and that is, I know, not what some people are wanting to hear, but that's the reality of a club of our size and with our makeup. That's what we do. We're speaking to other chairmen, and they are also similar in the sense of there are some chairmen who do use their own company in order to bankroll the club, but there's others who don't, and it's basically about what the income they bring in as a club. It's then reinvested back into the football team. It's a well-worn story that I'll be saying is that our income streams are less than other clubs, so therefore we can't put in to the same degree into a playing budget, and that has been, a real frustration, and that's what's behind the relocation, the drive for relocation, and to make sure that we get things sorted as a club, as a board. What we'll be doing and what we are doing is speaking to any individuals that can help us financially. We'll be doing that. We also are looking at the sponsorship opportunities for companies to join us. We've had good partnerships this year with organisations like Call Robert, who give us support in our kit van, Smoky Trotters, who have helped us with catering. So that's been good. Traditionally as well, we've had good support there from Homesbook as well as a match sponsor, shirt sponsor rather. So there's been examples, and we need to replicate that moving forward. We need to get more companies involved, and that's certainly what we're looking at, and how we can grow that community. I think as well for us, it's recognising that there probably won't be a1 silver bullet that will solve all our financial problems. It will still need to be hard work, and I look at that and think, right, how can we grow commercially? How can we make it easier for companies to get involved? How can we make sure that supporters out there know here's areas which you could help with, even if it's bringing us contacts? That would be fantastic, because we're a group of volunteers. You see me at my work today, and other directors are in similar positions, and therefore, where we can get contacts so we can speak to people, have a conversation with them about how they can be part of the journey with Clyde would be really helpful. So if you're a Clyde supporter thinking, maybe I could support, or equally, I know somebody who might be able to, then get in touch, and that will help us grow that community, because we need to widen that community of interest that we've got around the club, so that we can increase our income streams and increase the sustainability of the football club.
So the message to the fans very much in that front then for yourself and from the rest of the board, Gordon, is that there's definitely there's work ongoing, that
absolutely
that they'll be sitting on their hands and accepting a lower budget next season. They're doing all they can to remedy that. Yeah.
What we've tried to explain to supporters is this is where we're at this moment in time. Here's the base level. This is worst case scenario where we could be. That doesn't mean that we say, oh well, there it is, that's where it's going to be. Now we have to plan with that figure in mind, but as we are working in order to make sure that we can maximise income in all areas, and we will continue to do that, so we can maximise the playing budget that will be available to the manager. That will also include reducing costs. So where we can reduce costs, we will do so. Where we can increase sponsorship, we will do so, and commercial opportunities. But ultimately, there is also the reality where that's not new news, but it is, we'll also have to look at, individual donations, where we gave notice to owners a couple of weeks ago about a change in regards to how ownership fees will be gathered. Now, there will be a rise in the individual ownership fee, but we're also looking at ways of which individual supporters can donate more throughout the year. That was built or put together rather in the knowledge of what some other clubs are doing. I'm thinking there about Morton, Falkirk, Motherwell, Hearts. There's a series of clubs that are out there that are looking for regular giving from supporters. Again, it's not an easy message, but it means that we're all in it together, and that is essential. And that will have the direct impact on the playing budget, and that is just one aspect. It could be argued, oh, well, that means you're going to the same well again and again and again. But it has to be that way at this moment in time. And it has to, but what we want it to do is enhance what we will try and bring in commercially as well, in order to get us a competitive budget, and make sure that we can finish as high up the league as we possibly can.
So with the kind of current season playing out the way it has done, and obviously the kind of potential impact, say, any relegation could have within the kind of budget for next year, is that something that would be taken into consideration? Therefore, stay in League One, there may be scope for the budget to be slightly better. However, if it's League Two, we need to cut a cloth accordingly.
I think you're, well, the reality is that you will not in League Two have travelling supports of the size of Dunfermline, Falkirk, Airdrie, and that has an impact. When we develop the budget, as Greg is developing at this moment in time, then he will take estimates of crowds into that, and look into that. And what we are assured of is that we know we've got a good and strong and loyal support that are there, and we can look at that. But equally, the income that we receive from Dunfermline visiting or Falkirk visiting, if you get relegated into League Two, then it's bound to have an impact. Bound to have an impact potentially on sponsors or advertisers as well, who might not feel the attraction of, going into League Two with less people watching. But there's it's certainly something that will have an impact. But again, I emphasise, we are not resigned to, oh well, that's the budget and that's it, and we're just sitting on our hands, as you say. We will do everything we can in order to look at opportunities where we can increase that budget and make sure we can get as best as we possibly can for the manager.
So you touched upon the ownership structure, fees changing. Are you able to go into just a wee kind of bit of detail about that for those who perhaps aren't owners at present but may wish to do so, with obviously the financial benefit to the club at the kind of heart of that?
Well, what we've looked at is, in order to make sure that we're keen with regards to the ownership structure, the actual structure doesn't change. It's one voting share. If you take out an ownership, you have one voting share. But what we have done and what we will be putting out to supporters is a tiered approach into giving. So if you want to pay for an ownership, then that would cost you £60. You can pay it in a one-off, or you can pay it up on a monthly basis. As well as paying that up on a monthly basis, then you could add to that giving and what you can afford. That might be £10 extra, £20 extra, and just to build it up in that way. And there'll be opportunities. We're hoping to launch a revised, a new, refreshed website in the next few weeks. And that will have details on that and how people can give and how people can support the club in that way. And, I think it is not done glibly. It's done really in the harsh reality of us, a club like ourselves. We need everybody to work together, and that includes supporting the giving and the financing of the football club as well. I guess, as I say, there'll be comparisons made to some of our peers who seem to be able to spend much more than us. But again, we recognise that is sometimes through the giving of one individual for a short period of time, but it's there. And let me emphasise as well, we have mentioned it at public meetings before, and we'll do so again. There is no barrier. If people are looking to invest in a football club and want to donate to a football club, then speak to the board. We will certainly listen, and it's not a case of we're turning around and saying, no, it's us or nothing. We will look at every avenue in order to bring in income into the club. But what we will not do, as I've said previously, is put the club at risk. Supporters wouldn't want that. Our owners wouldn't want that, and it's that's the bottom line. But we will certainly be working hard in order to increase the income that we can bring in.
So that probably leads me quite perfectly then on to my next question, and specifically around Crown Point. And if you were able to give an update, if there indeed is an update, and just even a general overview of the process without any kind of specifics to the application, just for those that perhaps aren't maybe too sure of how this process works, the kind of timeline of events, etc. too?
Sure. The process as such, it's not as if we're not in a position where it's like buying a house. It's not like that. It's not a case of we put in an offer and then it gets accepted or not. It's the process that we are in at this moment in time is a competitive process. There's another interested party in Crown Point. We are at the stage where we are developing its a community engagement plan, and we will be implementing that within the very near future. So there's been work undertaken in regards to that. Simultaneously, we're also looking at and developing our business plan for Crown Point. And this is part of a Glasgow City process, People Make Glasgow Fund, which we have to participate within. Our closing date to that particular site will be agreed with all parties that are interested in Glasgow City, and then we will submit at that time. So there's quite a bit of work that's been done in the background at this moment in time, although I'm limited to say we're in a competitive it's a competitive field that we're in here, so we are working away and we're trying to do that. It's fundamental for us is to relocate to Glasgow. That's certainly my opinion, that we really need to get to Glasgow, to get a ground. It's interesting enough, I was speaking to the manager recently, and we were talking about a few things, and again, for him, fundamentally, for the club to progress, we need to sort out our training ground, to get a training ground there that is stable and private for the players to prepare. And we need to get our own ground so we can bring in the income and an identity and grow within a community. That is essential. We will work in partnership. Obviously ourselves and our colleagues on the foundation board are wanting to achieve that so that we can do good works for Clyde throughout the week, have a good base for the football team and our community activities so that we can really be involved and grow the club again. And I think that's essential for us moving forward in strength.
So for any Clyde fan that is perhaps maybe concerned, obviously, with maybe a perceived lack of communication or information on the project, it's very much a case of, one, we can't perhaps show our kind of hand to any potential competitor for the site, but also the particular stage we're at, is that now with Glasgow City, and for them to advance.
The reality is we're in a process here of where at this moment in time we'll be embarking very shortly as part of the process. We have to demonstrate that we have consulted with communities. So we're putting that plan together, and then we will be consulting with the local community in that area. We will also be required as part of that process to put together a business plan. So we are working in order to compile an appropriate business plan that will demonstrate our ability to take on the responsibility of running that site. So those are two things that are happening. They're happening now. We have, as a board, as a subgroup of that board and the foundation, we're weekly meetings which are happening, and probably daily conversations, to be honest with you, and workings towards that goal of achieving, what we want to achieve as quickest timescale as we can. Can we give regular updates? It's difficult to go into an awful lot of detail, but I guess what I would say is be assured this has to be a priority. And we see that as a priority. There, I guess, in some ways, Paul, there's two things here. You get the football club that we wish to finish as high up in the league as we can at all times, and relocation. if the worst was to happen this season and we get relegated, we cannot let that relegation divert us from the relocation goal as well. Equally, it doesn't mean we give up everything in the football field in order to achieve relocation. There's a balancing act that has to be done there. But we will be working, and we do work hard in order to ensure that we can achieve both of those goals, and that's what we'll be doing. So the relocation project hasn't been paused. It's going on. We're just at a phase at this moment in time where there's less ability to speak out publicly about what we're doing, but it's certainly going on in earnest with an awful lot of work happening behind the scenes at this moment in time.
So no news doesn't mean bad news is essentially the message
Correct.
behind that, and there's a lot of work
100%.
ongoing. Yeah,
100%. Yep.
So hopefully the time will come where it is good news and we can have a celebratory podcast. The future of Clyde is back in Glasgow. Future in our own hands, and as you say, having that ability to generate your own income and the possibilities that then that opens for the club to then progress and enhance and build your own future and your own goals.
Well, I think what it does is it will put us on par with our peers. And I think that's the thing, that there's no easy answer to that, because equally, it'll not be a case of if we're successful in gaining Crown Point, then suddenly that means we're in Champions League in a couple of years' time. It'll be hard work. Wherever we go, it'll be hard work. And I guess what I'm saying there is, what we want is the opportunity to compete in a level playing field with our peers. I'll look at Montrose on Saturday, 90 in hospitality. We've got 120. These all add up when you then. And I know, again, I'm like a broken record. You look at the advertising boards that other clubs have, that they can get 100% of the income in, 100% of their bar income in. We're not in that position at this moment in time. The Hamilton ground share in many ways has worked really well for us, and we're thankful for them and their support, but it's still not our own home, and we need to do that. There are certain things as we look at the club, we will try and get better. We'll try and improve the experience, the fan experience, and coming to matches on Saturday, where that's the folk that we're extremely grateful for that have taken out hospitality. We'll try and continue to make sure that we've got a good product off the park that people are happy to bring their pals to and enjoy the match day. But it's, we constantly are at times working with our arm tied behind our back in comparison to other clubs, and that can't continue, and that's why we're driving forward with the relocation project.
So that brings us probably to the end of the kind of main discussion points, Gordon. Just very briefly, do you have a message for the Clyde fans for the remainder of this season and the months ahead?
Well, I guess firstly it's to thank the supporters for the support and their ongoing support. I think when I took on this role as a Clyde supporter myself, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and also knew there was going to be highs and lows. This season has been more lows than anything else, and again, I just thank them for their dedication and their support, because I've been at times in the club when there's been far worse reaction, and I think supporters have been supportive for the team, and that's been really, really good to see. I think it is about us, as again, we're in a position where we're in. Hopefully, we can reach the playoffs, get that, and then survive in this league. And how will that happen? It will happen through improved performances on the pitch, and also us as supporters keeping together on our main focus. Relocation, keeping within the SPFL. Nobody is giving up. Nobody is walking away from the club and just saying, well, there's inevitability about what's going to happen to us. We will fight on and continue, and continue that fight regardless of what happens in the park. We want to succeed as a football club, and the best way of doing that is keeping together. All of us keeping together. I will not use the family word, but what I will do is that we, a lot of us have been in this for a long while, supporting the team, whether it's in the director's box or out in the stand, whatever. We're Clyde supporters. We're wanting our team to succeed. And, please give us your backing, give the players the backing, more importantly, and so that we can turn the results around and finish the season as strongly as we can. I think that's key for me. And I guess, do not think for one moment that as directors we're immune to being frustrated or disappointed or whatever. As are the players, as is the management. It's been a tough, hard season, but I think this is where we have got to show our mettle in some ways as we this just makes us different from supporters of other clubs, shall I say, who who only know victories, and that's it. It is hard, believe me, I know it, but we've got to hang on in there, and then hopefully we can achieve what we want to achieve together.
Yeah, we've taken a bit of a beating, but there's life in the old girl just yet. There's still life in the old girl. So, listen, Gordon, thank you very much for your time. It is greatly appreciated, and I'm sure those that are watching and listening would like to pass on the thanks for taking your time out to give an update on the more off-field matters. We appreciate on this show we generally do focus on on-field matters, which has had its difficulties as well this season. So it is very much appreciated. We will be back next week, hopefully reviewing a match if the weather doesn't put a pin in that, and hopefully another victory. We're undefeated since our last home game, if you want to look at it that way. In our last home game, I should say. Until then, wonderful week.